just go ahead and get started. My name is Rachel E. Kaza, and I'm the Education Initiatives Librarian for Sonoma County Library. I'm a Sonoma County native. I went to Piner Elementary School in Santa Rosa, and I went to Piner High School, class of 1996. And from there, I had, I don't know if anyone knows Lori Fong. I always try to name drop her because she was my favorite teacher in high school back in the Fulton Valley Prep community high school program that we had there. And learned a lot about alternatives in education, even as a high schooler, that we were learning in different ways. And here we are in a totally different world and trying to figure it out again. So it's exciting times. After Piner, I went to Mills College in Oakland and spent 4 wonderful years there as an English major. And then after that, I got my master in library and information science from San Jose State. So that's my path to librarianship. It is a master's degree profession. Sometimes people think, oh, we have librarians everywhere. And you may think that they're librarians, but according to the official definition, you have to have a master's degree to be a librarian. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And excuse me while I navigate some of this. Here we go. So I normally, my usual life is I present a lot of classroom, do a lot of presentations about research methods and book talking and faculty training on library resources and one-on-one work with faculty to develop curriculum using library resources. So that's a lot of what I do. And we have a lot more staff in the county than just me. So I wanted to give a super brief overview about what libraries are in our county. And I don't know folks in the room who, what your experience with the library might be. Feel free to put any questions or comments in the chat about your library experience and anything that you really would like me to definitely cover today about library resources. We can definitely get to that, but I just want to give a brief overview. In our county, we do have 14 library locations. And the PowerPoint presentation is in the resources folder. So you can refer to this later. And all of these blue links are live. So you can refer back to click, find the location nearest you. We have 231 employees. That's a good sized staff. I've worked for the library for 15 years. So I've been here for a good spell. 66 of our full-time staff are certified librarians. So we do have a good number of professional staff, and about 1/3 of those are specifically serving youth. So teenagers, elementary, early education, preschool support, all the way from preschool through grade 12. But our whole library serves the entire community. Our role is to meet the needs of the entire community, as well as K through 12 education. A couple more little stats here. Our circulation of materials, the most recent data that I have was 2018, 2019. And we have, at that time, we had 670,000 print items in our collections, 197,000 digital books. So think about your digital classroom use. There are 190, probably more like 200,000 at least at this point. 3 million physical items circulating through our 14 libraries. So it's a good circulation. And then 830 digital checkouts. Just to give you an idea of the scope of what our libraries do. And as librarians must, we have to cite our work. So I put the statistics site right down here, so you can always refer to that if you're curious about other statistics about what libraries do and how our library compares to other libraries. Little bit about library funding. How do libraries pay for collections and services? Primary funding that we receive comes from 2 kinds of tax. One is property tax, and the other is a sales tax. This link here, libraries are funded in large part by property tax. That link is to a greater discussion on our webpage about library funding. Measure Y voter investment in libraries is probably the most impactful way that we get funding in our libraries now. Measure Y was passed by our voters in 2017 or 2016, excuse me, and then implemented in 2017. And what that means is that 1 penny out of every $8 spent goes directly to our libraries. It pays for my job, it pays for the buildings that we host programs, it pays for author visits, it pays for all those hundreds of thousands of digital books that we offer. It pays for free books to give away to kids in the summer to help them be prepared and ready for learning in the fall. Measure Y is probably the most amazing use of democracy that I have ever experienced in my personal life, because the people checking a box on their ballot means that we can do so much with our funding. So that just a little information about that. I wanted to touch quickly on the difference in the role between a school library and a public library. So a school library, I've given a citation here for the American Association of School Librarians. School librarian, a certified teacher librarian, is an extremely powerful professional. They have 2 master's degrees. They have one in information science, and they have a teaching master's and a teaching credential. That professional usually walking in the door at their first job is like a $90,000 professional. They're very, very highly skilled, amazing people to have on your faculty team to help guide your students and your whole community towards the materials they need to be ready for all the educational attainment goals that your school may have. So the school collection, the collection is meant to support the curriculum. The curriculum as dictated by, you know, whatever entity, the Board of Education, private schools have their accreditation. The school library does not have to have every book in the world. It can really only have what the school requires it to have. And it's not meant to be a collection for everybody. The school library collection supports the curriculum, and that's really it. The teacher librarian there connects the school's community to those resources, and especially technology. That's a lot of what school librarians do. Now, how is that different than the public library? In the public library, we serve the entire community in as barrier-free a way as we can possibly do. We are your partners in education, and we, again, have to serve cradle to grave. Every person in our community, we need to serve them, not just parents and teachers, or parents and students, rather. That means that school library collections can be a little bit more uniform and tight as far as what's in there. There may be fewer titles that may have controversial subjects in a school library. In a public library, we have everything. And there's this famous quotation by Joe Godwin that's, librarians love this: "A truly great library contains something in it to offend everyone." And that means that we are here to show the full breadth and depth of all knowledge, not to just cater to a school curriculum. So that's something just to understand, there are differences. And I've given here the links to the American Library Association that has tons of resources for teachers on all kinds of curricular connections, how to use literature in the classroom. We love to give awards to our favorite books. So definitely look at the American Library Association website, and the Public Library Association website as well has lots of great resources. Public librarian's job, so my job, I only have 1 master's degree. I don't have a teaching credential. I don't have a master's in education, but I do have lots of experience being an educator. I may not be a teacher, but I definitely am an educator. We are teaching our public constantly how to use technology, how to access resources in the community for fair housing, to find jobs, to find childcare, to get legal aid. We are constantly teaching our public. We provide books and information. We're always working on bridging that digital divide for all members of the community, providing educational experiences through technology in a lot of ways, community engagement, civic discourse. I mean, it goes on and on. I was really trying to be tight on this, and I could really go on and on, but I won't. In short, if you haven't tried out your public library in a while, please do, because we have a lot to offer. So I've talked to you a little bit about what the library is, what it does, very briefly. I mean, I really just gave you the nutshell. But the first thing that people really need to know is, how do you access the library? How can I get hold of those digital books? How can I get hold of physical items, DVDs, magazines, all of those things that we have, you know, hundreds of thousands of books? How do I get it? There's a variety of different ways that the community can access the library. All these 5 bullet points are linked, so you could on your when you access this PowerPoint, you can click through these links as well. All library accounts are free. We do not charge any fees for replacement of accounts ever. So if you need a new library card, we would not charge you for that. If you need a brand new card, we would not charge you for that. A regular plastic library card, like the one pictured there with the red stripe on the bottom, that is your ticket to all of our resources, barrier-free with no restrictions at all. You can check out 100 items. We don't charge any late fees. If folks lose a book, we do ask for you to replace a book when you check it out with your regular plastic card. E-card accounts are great right now because in the time of COVID, we are not issuing new plastic forever cards at this time because we can't have that kind of contact with the public. That doesn't mean you can't get access. So you can go on our website and get a free e-card that lasts for 3 months. And I'm guessing that our team is gonna just renew all of those when they expire because we don't know when the buildings will open. The other way that students use the library is through the Student One card. And that's the logo kind of towards the bottom. It says Student One card. This is a special partnership with school districts that are participating with our Sonoma County Library, where we take the student's ID number and we make it more powerful by adding library access to it. So it's that same ID number that they may use to get their lunch, to borrow a book from the school library. For secondary students, they use it in Naviance and to do their college planning. It's that same number, but we add more power to it by allowing them to use the public library as well. I'm just checking the chat really quickly here. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. So if your district does not have Student One card yet, or you don't know what it is, feel free to reach out to me. It's almost my full-time job is getting that Student One card into the hands of every single student in our entire county. And I'm up to about 50,000 students now, so a good chunk. The other way that we give access to our library resources is through educator cards. It's a special library card. It is a plastic physical card that's made just for educators, and it does have extra benefits such as if you check out books using that card and you lose a couple of them or they get damaged, your student takes it home and you never see it again. Maybe it went home with another family and you don't know where that book went. We forgive for lost or missing items when they're checked out on that educator card. And the educator card, again, if you click these links, you'll find out lots of information about them. The educator card is for homeschool families, preschool teachers, regular classroom folks, IAs who work with students, you know, your RSP teacher, all your paraprofessionals, anyone who works at a school can get one. Anyone who works in a preschool can get one. Homeschool families, usually there's some sort of membership in a consortium of some sort, and we just need to see evidence of that, and it's really easy to get one.
We have a message in the chat about describing the Student One card.
Sure. Why don't I just click here and we can look at it. Where's this link? Oh, here we go. So the Student One card partnership, this is the website for it, sonomalibrary.org/Student One card.
I think I need to share your.
Oh, pardon me. Thank you for letting me
It's okay.
know.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah. Thank you for bearing with me. Is that clear now? Do you see that? Okay, great. Yeah, please let me know if there's ever anything else I can fix. Okay, so Student One card, I'm just gonna scroll down a little bit. Try not to do it too fast because it makes me have a headache if I go too quickly. Okay, here is the list of the already participating school districts. So what this means is that I have met with the superintendent and other leadership team members at the district, and they have formally adopted a memorandum of understanding with Sonoma County Library, whereby the school sends me a certain amount of student data that I use to automatically create e-card accounts they are virtual accounts. It's not a plastic library card for a student. That's not what the Student One card is. It's a virtual account, and we pair the prefix of the school. So here we have Santa Rosa City Schools, for example, and we say SRCS. Then this is a little login bookmark. I'll show you what this looks like so you can see what the students would do to actually log into a resource. They would type in SRCS and then their 6-digit student ID number. And then their PIN is always the year they were born. Let me check and see what, there's a question here. Somebody says, some of my students have a plastic card, but it is not working on Hoopla for some reason. It will never, if they have a plastic card, it should always work, but I will get to this. There's a couple things to know about Hoopla, so I will definitely get to that. I wanted to show you where you can find more information about Student One card really quickly. And then here's the informational flyer for families about what is it, what does it do, what resources are most useful to students using that. So it's just one way to access the library. Check the chat. Yes, I will talk about Hoopla in a second. I will definitely not forget to talk about Hoopla. Okay. Excuse me while I find my place. Can everybody see my PowerPoint here?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we are doing curbside service, so people can check out physical items from the library. There's some information about that. Using the library catalog is something that we are very happy to work with teachers and classrooms about virtually. We do classes on that. We can teach classes on that. There's a little video tutorial about how to use curbside. Just some information for you about how to use the library right now to get physical items. Now let's get to this is kind of the nitty gritty of what we're going to do together for the rest of this, is talk about resources that you can use in the classroom. And I know that a lot of teachers are very anxious about acquiring the texts that they need to teach their students. And that's a lot of why I kind of made a point at the beginning to make it very clear what the role of the public library is versus the role of the school library and the collections roles. The role of the school library is to provide the texts that are required by the curriculum, by the state. The role of the public library is not to provide texts that are required by the curriculum or by the state. We serve the entire community. So we do definitely take into account what is being taught so that we may have 1 or 2 extra copies of titles that are taught, but we are not in the business of providing book sets for classrooms necessarily. We just don't have the funding or the service model for that. Somebody mentioned Hoopla, so I can start with Hoopla. So I'll just click there. And this is the landing page for Hoopla Digital. And I landed here because I want you to see some of the parameters of use. The loan period for Hoopla is 21 days for ebooks, audiobooks, and comic books. It's 7 days for music and 3 days for the movies and TV shows. You can have 5 items per month. And there's no holds or waiting. So that's really nice. That's a great thing about Hoopla. Let's just go ahead and take a look at it. Instantly stream now. Check that question here. Oh yes, Hoopla is awesome. And now I'm gonna get you excited about Hoopla, and then I'm gonna kind of bring you down a little bit because I want you to have reasonable expectations about using it. So here we are at Hoopla Digital. I'm already signed in. It's really easy to make an account. You just need your library card. I'm hovering on this browse here. So I want you to see the different formats. There's audiobooks, movies, TV shows, music, comic books, and all kinds of great stuff. It may have already gone by, but you'll see like the brand new Taylor Swift album is available. There's a lot of like surprising, like, oh, that's cool kinds of things. Tons of award-winning films available in here. If you look your British Baking Show, you can watch it for free using Hoopla. This is a great place to look for books that your whole class can use together at the same time. There is a little asterisk highlighted note that you need to take about Hoopla. And that is that we have a financial maximum every day for Hoopla. So if you say to your class, everybody, let's listen to the new Taylor Swift album together, and I want you to write, fan letter to Taylor about your favorite song on the new album. And that's in your Google Classroom. You give a link to Hoopla, you give a little instruction about how to log in. You say you are going to need a plastic card or an e-card to use this. It will not work on your student ID number. They go ahead, they log in, they find folklore, they get excited. They say, oh my gosh, we love Taylor Swift, right? They may go to check it out, and when they hit, they click here and then they click borrow. I'm not going to do it because it will waste one of my chances for the month. I already bought the album, so I'm not going to waste my chance. When they click borrow, they may get a message that says, looks like the library has reached its limit for the day. Try again tomorrow. And we don't know when that limit will be reached because we have a financial maximum for the day that we do know how much money that is, but what we don't know is how much people are going to use this. So we try to balance what we have available in the buildings and our library locations with what's available digitally. So if you are an instructor and you are lesson planning forward into the fall and you look on Hoopla and you see there's a title that you want your whole class to read together, you need to make sure to check it monthly to see, is that book still there? Because Hoopla is just like Netflix. You get what you get. The library has no control over what's there or what's not there. We cannot purchase extra titles or extra copies. We get what we get with Hoopla. So yes, it's exciting because there's no waiting and it's easy to use and there's a lot of choices, but there are some pretty serious, realistic bits that you need to keep in mind when you sign up your students to use Hoopla for curriculum needs. There's some balance there. So I want you to get excited, but I want you to have reasonable expectations of it. Any questions about Hoopla? And feel free to just shout out if you want or put it in the chat. It's up to you. Can I talk about Open Library and archive.org? I think they don't have a limit on checkouts. Okay, I'm going to talk about Open Library for just a second. So I'm going to head back to sonomalibrary.org. And I'm going to go, to Books and More. And did we move that? So, oops, come on now. Trying to get a new window going. Here we go. Okay, archives.org is a big project that a lot of people get excited about when they think about trying to get access to things. This is not quite what I wanted. Going off script here together. Let's try to get back there. Okay, so I think what you may be thinking of is the National Emergency Library. And this is part of a project of the archives.org, which also runs the Wayback Machine, which is an archive of the internet. And you can browse the library here. And you get to Open Library. You can also just type openlibrary.org, but I wanted you to see the progression of how you would get there and how Open Library relates to a couple other projects. So Open Library is PDFs of books that have been scanned by the Internet Archive, and they've been made available. You need to have a PDF reader, some kind of app that you can read PDFs with. And I have not personally found an app that you can use to read a PDF that's very comfortable. You can't really adjust the text as easily as with other, like Libby by Overdrive, for example, which is much preferred, or with Hoopla. But Open Library is a source of books. There's a lot of controversy around copyright with this project. They openly state that they have found these books a lot of times at, they'll get them out of dumpsters. They'll get them from just donations. They haven't actually paid for any of these books. And they also have not gotten copyright permission from publishers to use these books. We do, as in general, libraries want to make things available to readers of all ages and for whatever reason. But it is kind of controversial, and you do need to sign in with them, have an account with them. There is an ebook reader that they offer. I think it's called Daisy, but it's not very easy to use. I haven't really found much luck with it. So in general, I don't suggest that educators use this for classroom use. It's good for looking up maybe out of print books that you can't get elsewhere. Let's see. Somebody said, I wasn't aware of the controversy other than that they increased the daily checkout to limitless, which upset copyright holders. Yeah. Yeah. So it's not a terrible thing, but it's not as useful as I feel like it should be. And it does, there's some issues with it. So just a little segue about that. Okay. Let's look at Libby Overdrive. This is ebooks and audiobooks, and it really is the leading digital reading platform. Libraries pay for every book that's available through Libby and on Overdrive. They're books in English and Spanish, and these are more of a traditional library checkout model where it's, if I'm borrowing a book and I'm using it, I'm listening to the audiobook, there may only be one copy of that title. It may not be that your whole class can use the same book at the same time with Libby Overdrive, but there are lots and lots of excellent titles here. So here's the landing page on our site for Overdrive. Lots of information here. You get 8 titles per month using Libby Overdrive. And this is the app is called Libby, and I highly recommend that if you haven't played with Libby, that should be your homework after we spend time together today. I really want all educators to be very familiar and learn to love and rely on Libby, because it's a very, very great service, and there's a lot on it for free reading. It's not really a place to say, I'm going to assign books out of Libby. It's not set up for that. It's for free reading, and it's really easy to use. Let me check on the chat here. Okay, so I'm going to show you a little bit about Overdrive. Overdrive is the name of the corporation that provides audiobooks and ebooks, and then the app that they provide is called Libby. So that's the difference between the two. The company is Overdrive, the app is Libby. And in the file of resources for this discussion, there is a sheet with all the apps that you can get that unlock with your library card. And Libby's one of those with some instructions. Okay, so here is Overdrive, the website. And you'll see here at the top, we've got newer releases with no wait. So these are books that are available right now. There may only be one copy. These are not meant for simultaneous use by a whole class, but there's a lot of books in here, tens of thousands of books. We put things together by theme. Here's Understanding Race and Racism. This looks like a young adult bookshelf that we've made here. If you haven't read Monday's Not Coming and you're a high school person, highly recommend that. I wish I could just spend time book talking with you all, because that's really what librarians do best. We love to talk about books. We read a ton of books, and we really want to share that with you as professionals and your students. Up here at the top, there is a collections drop down. I want to draw your attention to this. There's a couple things I want you to see here that we do have. You can limit it by audiobooks and ebooks, and there's also some videos. These are mostly great courses, so those are nice if you're interested in great courses. There's also the entire collection in Spanish, which is important for all of our community members. What I want you to see, though, is the always available. What always available means is that these are books that can be read by all the kids in your class. Everybody can check out the same book and read it on their own pace. Always available books are as close to the Hoopla kind of experience as we can provide in Libby. And there's all kinds of things in here. There's romances, there's nonfiction, there's book club picks, there's children's books, there's teen, there's audiobooks, lots of independent authors, small press in here. You're not going to see a ton of bestsellers. You are going to see more things that are out of copyright, like classics. So this is another place to look, and I want to make sure you see this here. Read these anytime until August 31, 2021. So a full year that this book set of diverse reads will be available. And that's true of a lot of these collections. They do have an expiration day. And if a student or anybody checked out this book on August 30th, 2021, they would get it for 3 weeks. But it would disappear for, you know, the majority of the time after that. So it's just something to know about Libby. In general, this is really the one-stop place to go for reading and listening to digital books. I am a librarian. I read probably 3 books every week, and I only do it on this phone, and I do it with Libby. It's just super easy. Everybody can use it, from young children to elders. I teach people how to use this all the time, and it's really, really easy to use. For curriculum, required texts, it is not the place to go. Your school, unfortunately, the library is not set up to provide text for classrooms. Our job is to be supportive and enrich and provide more choices, but we don't provide curriculum texts that are required. So I just have to make sure that we understand that. Any questions about Libby or Overdrive? Okay, I'm going to keep going. And please drop any questions that you might have in the chat there. So we talked about Hoopla, we talked about Overdrive and Libby. Oh, looks like there's a question. Do they have a read aloud function? And if so, how is it? Libby and Overdrive do not have a read aloud function. Hoopla also does not have a read aloud function other than audiobooks. Like if you want an audiobook, both Libby and Overdrive have audiobooks, but it's not really, I don't think that's what you're asking. It's not a text with voice in the same file. It's not that. The only source of that kind of thing that we would have is called Bookflix, and that is for younger children. It's not for high school or adults, but Bookflix is a great source. Yes, I will be showing you Bookflix in a second, so I can definitely make sure we touch on that. Wanted to give you just a little brief thing about our homework support resources. Tutor.com is a wonderful service that we provide. It's a service that we pay for, and there is a handout in the resources. It's a 10 things in English and Spanish that parents should know about Tutor.com. This is a live, free, unlimited online homework service that's available every single day of the year from 3 to 10 p.m. I'm just going to show you quickly what that looks like. Here's the landing page for Tutor.com. I'm going to actually log in and show you what this looks like. So I clicked go here. And if it was after 3 o'clock, I would be greeted by a live tutor, but it's not after 3 o'clock right now. So I can do a couple of things. So I logged in, I said, it knows my name, says, hi, Rachel. Document review is really handy. I think Tutor.com is used mostly by kind of lower elementary and then the kind of middle school, high school, and then college set. The lower elementary is usually the parents who log in as their child and get support for homework by these tutors in here. And then the middle school and high school students are using it independently for the most part. There's a document review function that's really great for kind of elementary and middle and high school students that are doing practice writing. They may be doing peer review. Maybe you have set up an assignment where they need to write something. Maybe it's about their favorite Taylor Swift album. So they write their short statement, their 5-paragraph essay about the new album that they love. And then your assignment to them is to submit it to document review in tutor.com, because in 12 hours in their email, they will receive a marked up, suggested, feedback covered version of their paper from a professional adult tutor. And then once they integrate that feedback, they can then go to their peer review in the classroom and get more support for their writing. Okay, all right, so the other thing about tutor.com is there's a lot of test prep resources for secondary and college and grad students. So there's SAT, ACT, and GRE test prep in here. There's a lot of quizzes on a variety of subjects. You can also do math questions. You can submit those and get feedback overnight. And that's just in addition to the really wonderful live one-on-one time that you can spend with a professional tutor. Over here on the far right, there's this thing called My Account. And underneath there, when you click it, there is a sessions, saved sessions area where you can see all the times that you've spent with tutors and refer back to any of those recorded sessions. You can either call and speak to them with your voice, or you can use the text function and type it. It's really a nice feature so that you can refer back. And again, if any parent is wondering like, oh, who is this adult that's talking to my child online? They can make sure that they're happy with those interactions. And again, all of these tutors are very highly trained, vetted, checked. They work for this company, and it is a Princeton Review product. So it has some good reputation behind it. So any questions about tutor.com? Has anyone used it before? We're really finding that a lot of parents have been using tutor.com heavily since we've been doing school from home. And we're really happy to continue to offer it. It is an unlimited service. You can do this as many times as you want for anyone. You don't have to be a child to use this. It's very fine that adults use it. Can tutor.com be used by early readers for reading support? Yes. Yes. When you get a tutor, if we were after 3 o'clock, it would ask you what grade you're in. And if you say you're in kindergarten, and then one of the subjects you want help with is reading support or reading or read together, a lot of kids will log on to this just because they're supposed to read for 20 minutes with somebody. You can do that with a tutor on here, yes. All right. So that would be your other homework assignment from me for today. First one being learn to love Libby. Check it out, get it on your devices, use it, start using it a lot. Audiobooks are great on there. And the other is tutor.com. Log into this as yourself. Ask the tutors questions. Play with some of these different tools. Get the app for it, see how that works. There's a lot of great resources here. And this resource, the library pays a lot of money for this so that it is free for the community. And there is no maximum amount that you can use this. So you just use the heck out of it. If somebody had a question. Yeah, it is a great service. So please do, yeah, I would really love that you, each of us in the room, actually log into tutor.com today and just talk to a tutor, ask them how educators can use this in the classroom, because I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to you. And there is that handout in the resources for parents or for yourself too, just so you're really feeling comfortable suggesting it to kids. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. We have, I think the last count was something like 55 databases that your tax dollars pay for, so that everybody in the community has equal access to really high quality information. That is the goal of libraries, and we really feel very good about the suite of resources that we offer in our e-resources area, our online research section of our library. This is just a handful of the best ones that I think are used for assignments. A to Z World Culture for those country reports, Biography and Context for biographies. Archives Unbound is a wonderful source of US and California primary source materials. Explora is a great suite of encyclopedias and lesson plans and all kinds of things for educators, and then specific tools for middle, elementary, and high school students. Britannica School is another excellent source. We like to suggest, and when I do my research workshops, that you find a resource and you find an answer one place, and then you try to compare the information between two sources. So we want to provide Explora and Britannica to students so that they can do those comparisons. And then of course, Escolar Encyclopedia Britannica is a wonderful resource. It's a great Britannica product in Spanish. All of these links are live, so if you go to the PowerPoint on your own time and play with those, are really easy to use. And you can use a regular library card or a Student One card to log on to all of those. One that I really want to point out to school folks is teachingbooks.net. Now, this is a really great, I don't know if anyone in here has used this, but if you're teaching literature, or you want to brush up on your literature skills, or just get some good ideas about how you can kind of cross-pollinate your lesson plans with literature, teachingbooks.net is a fantastic tool. It's a multimedia book and author enhanced reading experience. So definitely look into this. There are book guides, lesson plans, vocabulary lists. It does not have an accountability tool, which I know a lot of teachers want. It's not what this is. And this is so we have it on our website. Anybody in the county who has a library account can get to it from Sonoma County Library. But the California State Library provides this as well as it's a suite of resources, totally free to all schools. So if you are an administrator or somebody who's like, oh, this should be on our e-resources page for our school district, this link here will take you to the resource on the California State Library, how to sign up. Now, we have 40 districts in our county, and I believe only 9 of our districts have yet to sign up. So if you work for a larger district, it's likely that you already have this somewhere in your resources. Where it is on your staff logins, I don't know, but it's a great tool. And in the meantime, you can definitely use it from the library. I highly recommend that you play with teachingbooks.net. It's just, there's a ton of great things in there. So take a look at that. Another great one for kind of younger elementary into early middle school would be Nat Geo Kids. It's a really fun website. It's very well done, well maintained. It's a great source of free reading about nonfiction topics. Excuse me. And it's nice and multimedia. So I highly recommend checking out Nat Geo Kids through our website. It's a great source of nonfiction info. Now, Kanopy is a film website. So we talked about Hoopla, and you can get films and TV shows through Hoopla. And remember I mentioned that there's a couple of caveats with it, that you have to, maybe watch time of day, that you may not be able to download the book or the movie at a certain time of day with Hoopla. With Kanopy, it's just films, and there are there's a whole section called Kanopy Kids that makes it easy to stay away from rated R or PG-13 movies, and they're mostly award-winning films. The fun thing about Kanopy is there's almost all of the short animated films that get Academy Awards. During the Academy Awards, when they announce those short animated features, and you're like, oh, I've never even heard of that. And I don't even know how I watched that. Or the short documentaries, they're in Kanopy. You can watch all these really wonderful short films in here, and those are also really great in the classroom environment. The other thing that's exciting about Kanopy, we actually bought this because we wanted to support teachers using film in the classroom. It has a very, very good subject search. So when you go into Kanopy and you search for a subject like climate change, you'll get a whole bunch of different movies, short films, feature films, documentaries about climate change and different issues of climate change. And then you could search for another topic and you get a whole other list of things. You have the ability to borrow these films and watch them for up to 3 days as much as you want over and over and over for 3 days. There's 30,000 plus classic films and kids films. All the Criterion collection is in here. Kanopy is an app that I highly recommend you get for your smart TV or your Roku or your Apple TV or your Fire Stick or however you do your apps on your TV. Definitely get Kanopy. And someday when we can do movie nights at our schools again, it's a great resource for showing films without worrying about paying for the copyright, the license to play it. You can show films out of Kanopy with the copyright already paid for. Would a teacher be able to share their screen and show the class a film and watch it together? Yes, yes, they could. And if you said, put it in your Google Classroom, hey, everybody, go on Kanopy and check out this movie on your own time, they could do that too. It'd be something to practice, but I don't see why it wouldn't work. Yeah. Okay, so there's Kanopy. For early learning, somebody asked about read-alouds or books and audio together. And that's really what BookFlix is for. I'm actually going to click on BookFlix to show you the landing page for that. Here's a little bit of information about it. There are some Spanish titles. I know we're working on adding more, but BookFlix is kind of limited in what they have, but we do want to buy more bilingual titles. And it's really aimed at preschool to 3rd grade. So just to know that some secondary teachers who are working with ELD, they like BookFlix because it does have a very young vocabulary. The topics are not for teenagers, but it's good for kids that are learning English. So I clicked on BookFlix and I'm greeted by a login. So I'm going to just demonstrate what you would do. I'm going to just type in my own library card number here. Same one I've had since 3rd grade. And oops. There we go. And there is some sound on this. It is a Scholastic product. I'm going to skip the intro. So it's kind of got a Reading Rainbow-esque feel. There are paired readings of fiction and nonfiction titles and in these different themes. So here's ABC's 1, 2, 3s. You can have the entire website limit to Spanish by toggling the switch here at the upper right. But it will just, if you're in this category and you want to see what's in Spanish here we've got what they have in Spanish. We are frustrated with this product because it doesn't change the language of the headings or the titles of the books. So if it's in Spanish, you'll notify you by just having this little red ribbon here. And I wish it was a little more comprehensive, but this is what it is. Then you can click on the title here and you'll see that you can watch the story where they have somebody reading it to you in the pages turn, or you can just read the book yourself at your own pace. There's some puzzles and word match, some different ways to learn more about the topics in the book, and then some web stuff too. That's like, these are safe links to go to for kids. So if you're teaching younger elementary or you're working with students learning English or parents, BookFlix is a really, really great tool to put in front of younger kids. And all they need is a library card or a Student One card to access it. So that is BookFlix. The other really great tool for early learning is ABC Mouse. Some families, I know some teachers who have just sort of splurged and paid for ABC Mouse for their own family because it's such a great product. And we wanted to make sure that it was available to all students who wanted to use it. It's really geared at children ages 2 to 8. So again, early literacy. And when you go to the website, it's a little bit different in that you are asked to check out an account so that you can use this database for 3 weeks at a time doing different modules. So once you check out the account, then you would actually log in after you've gotten your account. And it's very easy to use. And parents and kids can sort of use this for a very long period of time by having the child check out an account and then it expires in 3 weeks, and then the parent checks out another account and that expires in 3 weeks, and then the child can check it out again. So you can use it almost continuously if your child is really enjoying using it and they're getting a lot out of it. It's a great product, and I believe the creators of it actually live in Lake County, so we have a pretty sweet deal with them where we get a lot of access for the money that we pay, more than other areas do. So I highly recommend, if you're doing younger children, if you're working with younger children and their parents, definitely check out EBC Mouse and see how that might work for your classroom. Okay, so there's lots more that you can do with a library card. We've got Mango Languages. I know a lot of schools support kids using Duolingo, and that's a great resource if they want another one or something that's really geared towards people learning English. If you have families that are working on their English skills, Mango Languages is a great resource for that. The other thing that we love about our local area is this Discover and Go program. I don't know if anybody in the room has used Discover and Go before, but what this does is it allows you to use your library card to print out free tickets to all kinds of amazing, amazing venues around the Bay Area. Places that I probably wouldn't go if I didn't have a free ticket. You can actually get tickets to Safari West for free using your library card in Discover and Go. You can get tickets to all kinds of places. Now, of course, we are in the time of COVID, so check for opening times and things like that. And it's less useful at the moment, but it's a wonderful partnership between public libraries throughout the Bay Area and all these venues that give us access to the community. It's amazing. Other school-based databases are Learning Express Library. This one is wonderful for secondary students looking for scholarships. I know a lot of seniors in their fall of their senior year, there's a assignment that they need to sign up for a lot of scholarships or apply for a lot of scholarships, and they're looking for those actively. Learning Express Library has a great tool of current scholarship information. It's a really easy to use tool to search based on your GPA, your school interests, your background. It's a wonderful resource, as well as lots of other test prep stuff and career development, all kinds of things. Points of View Reference Center. I do a research workshop for secondary students that I've been teaching for years, and we usually start with Points of View. This resource is meant for kind of a debate style format where you want point, counterpoint, but I use it with all kinds of 5-paragraph essays for 7th graders or students who are actually doing debate class. It's a wonderful place to start where you don't know anything about a certain topic, but you want really good basic information about it. Somebody says, can I loop back to Student One card? I will absolutely loop back to Student One card, yes. Just check our time. Looks like we're doing well. So I talked about Points of View and research workshops. This is a screenshot of our website, and I circled the online resources tab there. It would take me 2 hours to really give you a very thorough going over of all of our databases, and I know that's gonna be more than you want, but anytime you wanna learn more, you can always head to sonomalibrary.org/eresources, and you'll find, I think it's something 55 databases that you can access for free with your library card. The remote New York Times, all kinds of stuff that I don't have time to, that we don't have time to talk about today. On the very last slide, I've got my contact information. I want to make sure that you all know that my job is to support connecting the library with the schools. And unless you reach out to me, I can't do that. So please, please, please download the PDF or the PDFs that I put in the shared file. Get this PowerPoint with my info. Take a screenshot of this. I want you to reach out to me. I want to get in touch with you. I have a bunch of teacher friends. Oh, there goes my alarm saying we've got 5 minutes. I want to make sure that you know that there are librarians all over the county in every single one of our 14 libraries who really want to work with teachers and students and parents. It's our full-time jobs, and we're really passionate about reading, information, all kinds of topics about social justice issues. We really want to learn more about how we can assist you all. And the best way that we can do it, story times and reading aloud during COVID. We have a YouTube channel. So if you look up Sonoma Library on YouTube, there's tons and tons of videos in there. Storytime videos in English, Spanish, French. There's crafting videos on our YouTube channel. We've got tutorials that we're working on a lot of these resources about like 4-minute tutorial on how to use tutor.com for, all of our resources. We're working on these short tutorial videos for students and teachers and parent education. And our librarians, myself, lots of our youth services librarians, we would love to meet with your students online. We would love to virtually give presentations. We have orientation classes about library stuff for kids. We have virtual scavenger hunts, escape rooms that we can do online. And we love to do that. And our librarians are at all of our locations. Here on this contact page, it says contact our local library. If you click that, you'll find our hours and location with all the phone numbers, the addresses for all the branches, and you can use that to find your library that's near your school. There's another way that we have another directory here on our website. If you go to the web search box up here at the top on our sonomalibrary.org and you just type the word school, you'll find a variety of things, but this one is the directory of all the schools and then which library is assigned to serve them. So if you head to this on your own and you look for the school where you work, and maybe you work at Apple Blossom, you can see, oh, Sebastopol Library is my assigned library. So you can call that number and say, I'd like to speak to a children's librarian or a teen services librarian, and there'll be somebody that is really excited to work with you and talk about your lessons, how we can help your students, how we can meet up online, and various things like that. Did that answer your question about virtual meetups and that? Okay, great. Well, we are just about at time. Is there any questions, anything that I didn't talk about that you missed, anything that you hoped I would have covered that I didn't? Oh, Student One card. Again, if there's somebody in your district who, like a superintendent or their assistant, superintendent of curriculum and instruction is a good person to send my way. If you don't have Student One card in your district and you want to get on board, please get in touch with me. You can check in with a local librarian at your local library, but ultimately it needs to come back to me because it's my full-time job to get the Student One card to every single student in the county. So if you're in a district that does not have Student One card, just get in touch with me and we will get the ball rolling with your leadership teams, and then make sure that your students and the faculty know how to use it. Thank you so much for being here today. I see there's a question about plastic library card. Is it possible to get a digital card if their plastic card does not work? Yes. The e-card link, the Get a Library card on our homepage is a fine place to go. If all else fails and the student can't find their plastic card, they tried their student ID number and it isn't working for them, just to avoid consternation and frustration, anybody can just get an e-card anytime. We're not fussy about that. Folks experiencing homelessness can absolutely get library cards. Yes. The e-card, it will ask for an address, and I've helped people who were living at a campground, and we use the address of the campground to get them an e-card. As long as the address that you want to try using is within the county limits of Sonoma Lake or Mendocino. Folks experiencing homelessness are a very, very important part of our patron community, and we really do want to make it as easy as possible for all of our citizens to use the library regardless of where they're living. So we do have ways around that. If there's a concern or an issue, just call any library or get in touch with me directly and we will make it work. Any other questions? Well, I think I will let you all go since this is 1:45. I want to be respectful of the next session. Thank you so much for coming to my talk. Please, please, please get back to me with any questions, any follow-up, if you want to meet one-on-one online or just chat on the phone. If you need help with your own library account, if you don't remember your educator card number, or you want to get something for your school that you need, like, please let me know how we can help. I may not always be able to do what we want, but I can listen and I can see what we can make work. You do not need to renew your educator cards. They automatically renew themselves on August 1st. So if you have an educator card, you do not need to renew it. Yay, thank you for the kind words, Sunny. And I really just appreciate everybody so much for coming in. Thank you. I will let you all go so you can head into the next session. But thank you so much for coming today.